this is Colby from Spectral Studios. Back again with the continuation of the door script. We're gonna create a lock door, and we're also gonna create the key list on the player. So let's just jump into it. We have the same scene set up. The only thing I've added is a cube here. Make sure you have a box collider attached to it. It should already come with one, but just make sure. And then I tagged it as our interact tag that we set up in the previous episode. If you haven't watched that, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. You should go and watch that video first. But alright, so we're gonna need a key script. Go ahead and create a new C# script, name it key, and then create another C# script, and we're gonna name it key controller. And go ahead and open both of those up in either MonoDevelop or Visual Studio, whatever IDE you use. Alright, so I have both of them up. Going into this blind, so probably gonna make some mistakes while we're doing this, but I'll let you guys watch me as I do it so that you can get a feel of what you'd be getting into. So we're gonna do this with lists. The only reason I'm doing it with lists and not arrays is because lists are easier to add and take away from. Arrays are static, lists are dynamic. So the major thing that we're going to be doing is creating memory during runtime. So what you want to do is you want to make a public list, and it should autofill, and we're going to make it key. Just name it keys equals new list of keys. All right. Don't need these for now. And let's go into our key script. We'll need an integer, call it ID, default 0. And the key will need access to the key handler, or key controller, sorry. And we will be using the start function to set this up. So go keys equals game object dot find game object with tag player. We're going to be attaching it to our player, and get the component, and we'll have our key controller on our player. Just kind of makes it easier to find. So you don't want to use these find game object with tag, or with, you can use this as game objects to get arrays and everything, but you don't want to use it too often. Using it in the start, it should be fine, but you definitely don't want to be using it in update too much, because this find game object with tag is actually pretty heavy, resource heavy. So you want to stick to using it in your start script to initialize your variables that you want to keep hidden. So just keep that in mind. What are we going to do next? So we're going to be using, change the mono behavior up here to our interact base class, because we're going to be inheriting from this, and we're doing the same thing that I said we were going to do in the previous video. Anything that's interactable will be in this it will inherit from interact base. And we're going to do the same thing we did for the door and do public override, and we named it activate. And for this one, we can add a couple variables. So when we activate it, we want the player to pick it up. There's going to be a sound that plays. So we can create another variable, call it public audio clip pick up sound. Yeah, that's fine. Make another private variable. And I make these private. You can make them public and assign them in the inspector, but this just keeps everything nice and neat. You already know there's going to be an audio source attached to your key object because you want the audio to play from that when you pick it up. So why not make it private and just grab it? That way you're not having to drag things around everywhere. Audio dot clip equals pick up sound audio dot play. All right. And some people destroy the object, but the actual sound won't have enough time to play if you do that. So what I usually do is, rather than destroy, I do destroy, and then the object will be this game object. Rather than just destroying it, we're going to give it a little bit of a delay. And what you can actually do is audio dot clip the length. That way you always know that it's only playing for the amount of time that the audio is playing, whatever clip that you picked. Alright, so that should be good. Oh wait, no. We're not adding it to the keys. So go back to your key controller. We're going to make a public function. Name it, so public void. We'll name it add key. And we're going to be passing in the key. And we're going to say keys dot add. Oh, no, we don't want to do this. So first we need to create a key. See, this is why I'm doing it on the fly. So we're going to need to create a key object, and we're going to actually have to make one from the information from this key. So in the key function, you're going to want to create a constructor. It's known as a constructor, and we'll do void key public. And we're going to say we need to pass in an ID, so and we need the audio clip. No, we don't need that. So we'll say the ID equal past ID. So go back to your key controller. When we add a key, the information for the new key that is coming in, and we're going to say key, new key, equals new key, and we'll say past key dot ID. So then we want to take our list, and we're going to add that new key we just created. There we go. So now we're adding keys to our list. And while we're at it, we can go ahead and create another function, another public function. It's not going to return anything, and we'll say use key. We're passing in the key. I think this will work. We'll see. We will see. I'm going to pass in a key, and we are going to search through our list and find a key with the same ID as the pass key. No, that should be fine. Create a for loop, and it's I equals 0. I less than keys dot count. Make sure you use count. It's not length like it is in arrays. With lists it's dot count. Same thing, but different names. Same things, different names. I plus plus. So in that for loop, we're going to say if the passed key dot ID is equal to keys I dot ID, then keys dot what is it? Remove. Okay. So keys dot remove keys I. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. We're gonna see. Theoretically, it sounds right. Oh, and then we want to break out of the loop. Everybody makes that mistake. We want to break out of the loop. And if we don't find it, we won't do anything. My phone. Sorry about that. Now, let me turn the volume off. So I went over what we were doing before when we add the key and when we activate the key, and we're going to change a few things around. Go over to your key controller, and we're not going to create a new key. We're just going to pass in the key that we have here. So, and then go through here and take away this destroy. We're not going to destroy it. We're going to get the component, get the renderer, and disable it. So enabled equals false. And get the collider too. So get component collider. We're also going to disable that as well. So this way we can keep a reference to this key object, but it won't render, and you can't collect more than one. So that does that. And head over to the door script, and we're going to add some variables. So public, we're going to add 2 audio clips for the locked and unlocked sounds. So locked sound. And unlock sound, and we're going to add a boolean. So public boolean, just name it locked equals false, it's default, and we're going to need an integer for the key ID, so whatever key that matches this door. That way you can have specific keys for specific doors. Okay, and go down to the activate function that we have here, and around everything you're going to say if not locked, then do the normal opening and closing, else the audio dot clip equals locked sound. Actually, before we do this, head over to the key controller. I'll save the door script. Head over to the key controller. We're going to add another function in here, and it's going to return a boolean, so a true or false, and name it check for key, and it's going to pass in an ID. So create a for loop. You could do a for each if you wanted to, but I read that the for each is heavy on the computer. It uses a lot of resources, so it's better to just do the standard for, where you create the I variable, I less than keys.count, again I plus plus, and we're going to say if keys I.id is equal to ID, the ID we passed in, then return true. So if it finds the ID, it'll return true. And if we go through the whole thing and we haven't found it, then we don't have it, and return false. So head back to the door script. Now we can say if the door is locked, then if do we have a, no we don't. So we're gonna need to create another private variable, need access to the key controller, just name it keys, and go down here in your start function, and just like before, we're going to say keys equals game object dot find game object with tag player dot get component key controller. There we go. So now if back in our activate function, if it's locked and if keys dot check for key, and we're passing in the ID. Is that what I named it? Key ID. We're passing in the key ID. And so that'll return true or false. So if true, which means we have the key, then locked equals false, and audio dot clip equals unlock sound audio dot play. Okay. Something's probably broken, but we're going to go ahead and say it's not. Just checking everything right now. Alright, so head back in Unity, make sure your player is tagged as player, or else you won't be able to find the key controller. Make sure you add the key controller to your player. Go to your cube, add the key script, add your audio clip, make sure you have an audio source attached to the key object, and then you can go ahead and play it. Let's go over to our key controller and see if it added our key. It did not. So let's see, probably because I haven't added it. All right. So go to, we already have access to our key controller, so go in here onto the activate for the key and do keys dot add key, And we'll do the game object that this is attached to, the component key. And you'll actually see this works fine. It creates reference to the script in game, so it can always check to see what that ID is. Let's go to our door. Let's go to our door and make sure it's locked and set the key ID to 0. Actually, we'll set it to 1, and we'll set this one to 1. All right. All right, so if we go over to our door, and it works. One thing I forgot to add is go over to your door, and I forgot to add that where we're checking for the key, if it returns true, I have it so that it sets the audio clip to unlock sound. We want to add an else after that if statement and say audio dot clip equals locked sound, because that means the door is locked and we don't have the key. And play it after we add that clip. It should work now. So it's locked. I know the sounds aren't that great, but we pick up the key and unlock it, and now the door opens. And it will close and open. Ta-da. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know we hit a few bumps on the road there, but we got there in the end. Ha 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 ha!